much.
Well, because you are. I mean, your family man persona precedes you because your wife is arguably more famous at this point.
Yeah,
she
should be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, for looks and talent and all that stuff, for definitely, without a doubt.
No doubt.
It is funny. She's become like this. Does she like it? Because it seems seems very like humble, like you, kind of a family person. It seems like she doesn't really want any of the nonsense, but she's cool with it. So is it annoying to her, or does she like some of the attention?
I think
because she's gotten a lot. People now are like, she's become just as big of a fixture of this.
I think it's both. I think, we did the documentary a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And that definitely, I think that she's a little bit uncomfortable with, I guess, how much it's become.
Yeah, it's big.
And our families out there, and like people know what our kids look like. And
yeah,
I think we're both a little bit like, we've tried to retract from that a little bit. But I think, she enjoys the fact that she, gets to go and do charitable outings. She gets to give back to the community. She gets to, do clinics with little girls with field hockey and like all these other things. I think she enjoys that aspect of it. And I do think some of the other stuff she's kind of a little bit more hesitant to. And like, I didn't really sign up for this. And I'm like, we're going to be all right. It's good. We're getting through it. Yeah, it gets to be too much at times. And it's hard to always be available, you know what I mean? But I think more often than not, it's such an awesome interaction whenever you're doing that stuff. And the vast majority of people are beyond just like, respectful and appreciative. And you realize that, we're in a position of great fortune to be able to, be where we're at. And it's all because of these people that are really, really big fans. So
yeah. That's the nature of all of it is like being as famous as you are. That it's tough because it comes along with it. But I don't think is deserved. And as I've always said, this is when someone's like, "Well, that's what they get for being famous," and you're like, "That's not what anybody gets. There is no that's what you get." That's a weird phrase.
It's part of the territory,
sure.
Right?
But it's not that's what you get.
Yeah.
Thing. I don't like that because it makes it feel like you deserve to be annoyed. It's like, no, that's crazy talk. That's like the same, in my mind, that's the same line of thinking when someone goes, well, she wore it out to the club.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to get harassed. It's like, yeah, she didn't want to be harassed. Like, yeah, because you're drunk and annoying, she got harassed. But most people are cool, right? Like most fans that we meet in our world are so cool. And so, yeah, it's totally fine. It doesn't bother me. But there are days like that, what you just described, you're in a weird space maybe, and then someone catches you. Like a woman pointed at me and her finger was quite close to my face, and she was drunk, and we were walking to meet someone for lunch, and she was like, "You're famous." Yeah. And I didn't have any response, and I just go, "Yep." And I just kept walking. It just felt weird. It was a weird, and so then they were like, "What's his deal?
He's an asshole."
It's like, what?
Doesn't have the time of day.
How could I have done that? What else would you want me to do? So, but it is, I just see from afar, it's interesting now because your family is just such a fixture and a part of it.
It's been crazy. And then
and your brother's really screwed up everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, what a jerk.
Travis and Taylor have taken it to another level, and that's a whole nother side of it. You know what I mean? Like, Kylie and I think we have it bad, and then we go hang out with like one of them for a second.
That's insane.
Like, this is a whole nother situation here. Well, I don't even know how to like. You can't be a normal person at that point. Like,
when you told the story about, when he got in trouble in college and you like went out of your way, has he ever done anything like that for you? Either in the more latter years, maybe has he like flipped on something where you're like, wow, Trav really helped me get out of something that I
love that you're asking me this question.
Well, because the brother of it all, right? My brain always goes to like, as we get older, right? Like my sister and I have gotten significantly closer as we've gotten older. When we were young, I hated her. I loved her, but I hated her. And we always battled. And then we got older and we both realized that we're so much more in common than we ever thought. And she's been such a great thing in my life. And as we've gotten older, it's become more and more apparent as we've grown through trouble and problems and family stuff. And you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I see that with you guys. And I'm always like, what has that flipped back to you?
See, Travis remembers that college situation differently than I do. I don't feel like it was as, and I think he was the one going through it, so it sticks with him more. Like there was something I think he overstates, I think, what I did more than what I feel like I did. I'm trying to remember, like, Trav, I would say that the biggest thing that just stands out is I asked Travis's opinion on a lot of things because Travis, and I really mean this, has probably like some of the best instincts just in general of anybody I've ever talked to. And 9 times out of 10, I'll come at something and I'm trying to think it out and I'm going somewhere with it. And he just says something so point blank. And I'm like, yeah, that's all it fucking comes down to. Right. It's like, and he has the ability to just think of things and like cut away all the, bullshit outside of what you're trying to figure out. It's just right here, man. And he's helped me make a lot of big decisions in my life that way. And I think...
Was retirement one of them?
Retirement, he hasn't ever pushed me in. I think that he's fully known when he knew I was going to retire this year. That was the first time that he felt like I was going to retire, I think. And I think part of it, just like your sister, like we think about things differently, but we think about things the same. So we know how each other think. So it's very easy for us to talk about something and have this back and forth dialogue. But at the same time, he just has like this ability to think about things from a different perspective that I'm not usually focused on. And it ends up steering me in the right direction almost every single time.
That's so nice. Yeah. The vision is so different. When you know what I mean? Like you both are, it's just so funny to be so successful and so unique in the ways that you guys are successful, which is, that's what's so interesting. And same sport, but not, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And I think that the way we think actually helps for our specific sports. Like I've always thought, like center, it helps to be like an analytically type thinking person, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, listen, we have 3 guys over here, or we have too many guys over here, so we need to point the protection this way, or we need to call this in a run game to account for that. Right? Like it's like a math problem almost that you're solving. Like that's you're taking in space and numbers and leverage, and you're computing that to try and put the team in the best situation from a blocking schematic standpoint. Right. Travis, he thinks about things, it's still analytical, but he thinks about it more, in my opinion, from like an artist standpoint. Like he's like creating and like he's doing things that like this hasn't been talked about before. He just knows to do this based on what's happening. Yeah. And my dad still, like, even when we were kids, he would tell this story all the time, how he thought Travis was smarter than me. Probably still does. And he's probably right. We both got the same Lego set when we were kids. And I opened the box and I opened the instructions and I put the thing together piece by piece, following the instructions. And by the time I got done, Travis's was already done. And he just looked at the box and put the thing together, right?
He didn't do any of the instructions.
Yeah, he didn't look at any of the instructions. He just put it together, right? So, it's that right brain, left brain. I don't know if that's a real thing, but he's much more of the creative minded, like instincts. Like that's how he's lived his life, his whole life. And he's hounded that to perfection. Oh, yeah. And I think receivers and tight ends, people that carry the ball, it benefits them to think along those